Welcome back to the 2019 LEC Spring Split. Misfits currently sit at a 4-6 record. While starting off strong, they've lost a lot of their games recently, including a game versus Rogue. So, what exactly is going wrong? First, I wanted to take a look at how Misfits have been playing recently. Over the last 2 weeks, I wanted to compare two of the big carries with Hansama and Febiven. What you'll notice is that a lot of the jungle attention has been directed towards the mid lane. Even with all of this jungle attention, Febiven is not converting it into big carry performances with, while a high kill plus assist in the early game, you can see that his CSD is low, his goal difference of 15 is also low. Meanwhile, in the bot lane, we see the duo of Hansama and Irelia regularly given strong 2v2 lanes with the likes of Kalista and Lucian, yet little to no jungle attention goes down there. This 2v2 has clearly shown that they are not strong enough to build leads by themselves. You only have to look at their CSD and their kill plus assist, while looking positive initially over the last few weeks has not been very strong. This means that sometimes in lane it results in poor positioning and simple mistakes that often give away kills. Now, you may be thinking, well, why not just change things up? Why not just draft for scaling and play for team fighting? With players like sOAZ and Febiven, late game team fights should be their bread and butter. Unfortunately, your issues then come from Maxlore. This guy is an excellent early game jungler, but he struggles to act as an engage tool or a strong team fighter later into the game. Here is just one of the many examples where Maxlore acts as the initiation, but it doesn't go quite as planned. They've just secured a Baron buff, and rather than resetting the map, Maxlore engages onto 5 when the rest of his team aren't in position and gets immediately collapsed upon, forcing his team into a dangerous fight and ultimately throwing away the Baron, putting Misfits at a deficit. The fact you can't rely on him to be this engaged ultimately hurts their team fighting later on. This means you have a team that has to play through their early game, and they have to do it through their bot lane. It sounds like a broken record because we say it every week, but if Misfits don't adopt this approach, soon they'll miss another opportunity at playoffs. Now, to talk a bit more about Misfits and their opponents, let's send it over to the Sjokz squad.
Thank you so much, Vedius. I think that was kind of a nice dive into what could possibly be going wrong for Misfits. Obviously, it's very hard to pinpoint what it is. Maxlore was mentioned, synergy as a whole. Frosk, how do you see it?
To me, it's almost about the emotional volatility of this team. I know that a couple of key members have been known to tilt, and it was kind of this question of, if you put all of this into one concoction, do you get an explosion, either with momentum or kind of the opposite way? And right now, I feel like we're stuck in a rut, which is why I really like that they're changing it up in the coaching staff. Yeah,
I think that's a great point. Of course, Hussein Mousvi has come in this time around for Justice as the head coach and also the guy that will be here with the team. So we'll see if that helps them today. They will need it because they are up versus SK Gaming, and that is a team that is on the rise. They're coming off of their first 2-0 week in the Spring Split. They are at 5-5. They are looking like they want to take that playoff spot, and they want to take it as soon as possible. Araneae, you who are very, very familiar with a lot of the members of this team, what do you think about how they've been playing so far, and how far should they aim?
I think they're playing phenomenal. Like, I've been coaching 3 of them, Werlyb, Selfmade, and Crownshot, and they are on a really good level right now, especially Selfmade. Selfmade is made the carry of the team. Selfmade is made one of the best junglers right now in Europe, and probably the best jungler in early game. Almost always converting every single gank he does in early game. The one I think he has to step up a bit more is Werlyb, that he's not playing as good as at least he was playing with me in the past.
When it comes to this matchup, I'm hearing a lot of positive. SK is on a roll. Misfits is not doing very well. How will Misfits win this, and how would SK win this? What are the two scenarios?
I mean, I think it always goes down to bot lane for Misfits and jungle for SK, but the reality is this match is so important because SK, chances are they're going to kill either Fnatic or Misfits to take the last playoff spot.
Yeah. I would like to agree with the bot lane, especially from SK, because every single time SK lost is when Crownshot is really behind. So actually, if you put all your efforts on Misfits bot lane and they can carry there, it's somehow a way that SK can just get demolished from bot lane.
Yeah, that is probably the only possibility that is there, but we have to take into account the confidence factor, the confidence that Selfmade and that squad have right now. Coming off of a 2-0 week last week, this time around, they are looking towards Misfits, and they are rolling hot. Coming into week 6, looking to continue their winning streak against that Misfits. Take it away, Drakos.
Thank you very much, Sjokz. Interesting to see how quickly the expectations for this league have changed over the last 5 weeks. SK coming in as an underdog, beating Fnatic. We thought, ooh, maybe it doesn't mean much, but they keep finding these wins. They keep taking down these expected top teams. Now they go up against Misfits, an expected top team that has fallen themselves.
Misfits, they are in a tough spot right now, Drakos, and that's why they're bringing in the Moose. They need a strong voice, a strong leader to turn over a new page for this team, because it has not looked good the last few weeks. And we come into this draft knowing the Moose is going to bring change, and the question is, will it be enough to get Misfits back in the playoff picture?
It is a big question, and it's a big challenge, and the pressure just continues to mount. So once again, just to echo the sentiments of the desk, good to see this change. But change is only there for pick and ban. That voice of reason can give them a plan, but at the end of the day, these 5 players still have to execute. So a lot of pressure remains on the Misfits' shoulders. And on the opposite side, I think for SK, hard to know exactly how they're feeling. A lot of happy interviews recently, you know, happy with their own success, improvement since Brokenshard has stepped up as the coach. But I want to see, I wonder how they're taking this one. If they are going, this is the game that we have to win, this is the game that we have to smash Misfits, and what kind of approach they're going to take.
Yeah, I mean, this is an important one for SK, because right now they are that playoff borderline team. And Misfits, another one of those borderline squads coming in today. SK winning this game puts them in a clear position for that 6th place. And of course, if they want to start putting themselves in the conversation for top 4, top 3, that's how they got to do it. They got to keep winning these should be easy games.
Now, as a reminder, as we head in the draft, SK, of course, on the blue side, Misfits on the red. You guys can see that yourselves. Misfits winning here ties them up with SK Gaming on the opposite end. SK winning ties them up with Splice, who lost just minutes ago. So, as you said, big stakes, big implications on the standings. But already seeing the Draven banned away, the Elise early game, not something that SK Gaming want to see on the opposite side. The power pick of Karthus already taken away from Misfits. The Urgot going to follow.
The Elise one especially interesting to me here, because Maxlore has yet to play that champion so far this split. SK Gaming obviously knowing some things that he's been working on in preparation for this match, and for Selfmade, such a key member of this SKT. It is about securing him a strong jungle matchup. They will go for a pick for him early in the draft, get him something that can take it to Maxlore and the rest of Misfits Gaming early on into this game.
We are going to see the Lucian, though, locked in for Crownshot. Of course, the other really top-tier AD carry among Draven, or at least priority ban AD carry left up and available. Maybe Hansama tries his hand on the Ezreal. Not something we see quite as much from him. He much more prefers the Dravens and the Lucians. He's more aggressive lane carriers. But the Cassio is, of course, up and available. Has been hit pretty hard across a number of patches, but still considered an incredibly strong pick overall.
And incredibly strong flex pick as well. Misfits coming in here with the Moose behind them, not trying to reveal too much at the moment, other than they've got really nice engage. They've got good damage from their backline already. The question is, where are these champions going to be going?
And that's the question that SK have to be asking themselves. The double flex pick coming in here early on for Misfits. Can put it in mid lane in the hands of Febiven, can put it bot lane in the hands of Hansama. Same goes for the Jarvan, Maxlore, or sOAZ. Even Gorilla could pick it up if they want to get creative. But the Syndra locked in here. Relatively safe, it feels like in most matchups.
Yeah, I think this is actually a really smart pick here from SK. You know, the Syndra can sort of outrange the Cassiopeia with some of her orbs. It's also just a safe pick in case the Cassio does go somewhere other than that mid lane. Syndra can sort of absorb a lot of pressure in the mid lane, can have a lot of solid matchups. But already, that bottom lane looking really juicy for the side of SK. Lucian plus Braum is a deadly combo. Once you can build up advantage in this lane, it's really hard to combat them in the 2v2.
Oh, really exciting, but we may already see the Cassio flex pick revealed if the Ezreal does get locked in here. But I love the Lucian Braum enter because we've seen Dreams be huge when SK have been finding these wins recently. Selfmade, obviously still the guy you keep your eyes on, but Dreams a close second, and him setting up Crownshot is always something that's exciting to see. But now the Galio coming in as well. 3 flex picks, Ender. If you follow the LCK, that could just go into the support position.
Yeah, and I think it honestly might here. Of course, Febiven on the Galio, good pick for him as well. But right now, Misfits have so many different options depending on how they want to go for this. Because one of the strengths of Galio is that you can just use that Q to sort of clear the wave and build an advantage in the push, what can sort of nullify the power of the Lucian Braum 2 versus 2.
But the question for me really is everyone on this Misfits lineup ready to play these flex picks? Are any of these bluffs? Are any of these picks not comfortable in certain lanes? Is everyone actually ready to go through? Because flex pick addiction is a real thing for professional teams. Some people just get too excited, pick too many flexes, and end up with weird drafts. Looking at you, Excel.
Yeah, that was an interesting one earlier today, Drakos. And what I actually find peculiar is the fact that we haven't seen Misfits before this week really going heavy on the flex picks. It's been pretty standard with, you know, Ryze, Lissandra in the mid lane, obvious top lane champions like the Sion. So Misfits Gaming are coming in with a new plan, and Moose is going to be heading that plan. Now, we've seen 2 jungle bans already here from Misfits, and I wonder if they wanted to put the Jarvan in the top lane. They'd probably wait to see what matchup they get, but they could just go for another jungler right here and try to limit that pool, pinch it down even harder to stop Selfmade from having a strong champion to impact the game.
Oh. Ooh. I like that one. Irelia now locked in. Feels like the Cassio is now set to go into the bottom lane with the Irelia going mid, and looks like we will have a Galio support as well. All of that, of course, TBD, Ender. We have to wait. We have to find out. But I do see a pretty powerful wombo combo being built on the side of Misfits Gaming.
Yeah, I actually don't really care where these champions go. All I know is that their AoE is absolutely absurd. You have very strong dive combination in the Jarvan as well as the Galio with an Irelia to come and ride right on top of the back of that engage. It's going to make it really hard, I think, for SK to try and impact the Cassiopeia in the back lines during these fights.
Now the Aatrox locked in as well, though. Looks like that one most likely headed into the top lane or the jungle, short of something too creative with the Syndra. So we'll see where it goes. The final pick will come through from SK, will reveal their hand, and we'll give Misfits a last bit of information as they look for that last pick. Vladimir now locked in, going to the hands of Werlyb in the top lane with the jungle Aatrox coming out for Selfmade.
Yeah, this actually is really interesting because if you look at sort of Irelia and where she fits in, you expect her to go either into the mid lane or the top lane. And one of the big changes with her was that her W doesn't block magic damage anymore. That means she can't stop the burst from a Syndra. It means she's not going to be super effective with that spell in the 1v1 against the Vladimir. Not to mention, playing against a ranged champion is going to be very hard. So I think they're going to move it into the mid lane. It's going to be Cassiopeia bot lane for Hansama alongside Galio, of course, subject to change, but that's what I think we're going to be seeing here because Maxlore on his Sejuani is just saying, we are going to team fight you. Everyone on SK, you have to take cleanse, otherwise we're just going to dive on you over and over and get so many kills.
I love Pirean with the cleanse, Crownshot with the cleanse. You cannot take enough. Dreams is like, should I take a cleanse too? They're like, no, please take Ignite, sir. Might need some kill pressure here. And once again, it's very similar to last game that we have 2 very explosive compositions outside of course, the Vladimir on the top side. We don't talk about him for the first, like, 8-9 levels.
But then he gets real explosive.
Then he gets real explosive, Ender. It's what we like to see. Now, a lot of engage, a lot to, I think, we have a lot of team fighting picks here, but Ender, you talked about Misfits. They're all about the team fight. What is SK Gaming's counterplay here? What does SK Gaming want to do?
SK Gaming is sort of a whole bundle of different things because you look at them, they do not have a very strong front line. I think they need to be coming off of a strong laning performance from this Lucian Braum, expecting Aatrox to sort of get them through the laning phase and try to make a 2 versus 2 happen in the bottom side. But honestly, I look at this and I think Misfits won out massively in the draft.
Of course, going to be crucial. We talked about the influence of the Moose, and winning a draft, I think, is the strongest influence that a coach can have before he heads into games, short of one of those Yamato Cannon classic inspirational speeches. For Misfits fans, they're hoping he gave one of those as well, as this is, once again, a very high-stakes match. The battle for playoffs incredibly close between these 4 to 6 teams. Teams ranged, 4th place to 6th place. SK and Misfits battling for that spot right now. Win for Misfits will tie them up. Win for SK will tie them with Splice. Start to contest some of those spots. I love Flexius too. He showed up hard in this draft, I think we can safely say.
Oh yeah, I mean, Misfits are you know, they're a part of the Flexius religion. Here. They're just
it's a faith now.
Yeah, I mean, 5 different champions that can flex. Even the Sejuani could theoretically go top.
We've gone past Colt. We are now full on the Flexius faithful. All right, Ender.
Are you Flexius faithful? No?
I mean, I'll find out. This game.
That man's jacked. You wouldn't say that to him at LAN.
Okay.
All right, give me the game.
The Moose is back, folks. This is going to be important. You see his win record, 69-68. Playoffs 3-4 Worlds, of course, been there once. Almost beat SKT. Now they have to beat SK. Very different pace, but still a very threatening opponent.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at Misfits, the Mooses Misfits, of course. You think 2018 when they went undefeated for so long in that summer split, and they had such a clear game plan, playing around the bottom lane. And I think that's what a lot of fans would expect coming into this. Now, he brings the voice, he says, Maxlore, let's play for that bottom side of the map. But honestly, I'm looking at this, and he has so many different options for where he wants to play. It really does come down to where he thinks he has the best 2 versus 2. And I think around that mid lane, especially after the level 6 mark, is going to be a massive point for Maxlore to try to exploit.
So maybe we see a little bit more of a passive early game. Of course, Sejuani can get some of those cheeky ganks off, but not always the most proactive jungler early on. And you talked about SK kind of needing a tanky front line, and the good news is that Selfmade does have the Aftershock, so you do get a little bit of that beefy boy.
Yeah, he's definitely going to be beefy. He also gets to pick himself back up with the ultimate. And you have a Vladimir, too, who's going to be trying to dive in and get massive burst down that can sort of buy time with his pool. But it's definitely not a solid front line that you want to sort of protect in AD carry. And I think SK are going to make up for that with the fact that they're running the Lucian, who traditionally isn't as good as those front-to-back team fights, but will be stellar in these sort of scrappy engagements in the mid game.
And I think it's good that you bring up bot lane, because I think we need to talk about Hansama, right? We're seeing the Cassio now come in, and this is a guy who's had very polarizing performances. He looks so good when Misfits are winning, but when Misfits are losing, he feels like a really big part of a lot of those losses, and now showing up with the Cassio, basically the taunt connect, that is the double. A little bit of damage does go down on the trade there. We have to wonder, is this a pick that he can perform on?
And that's an excellent question, because if you remember 2018 Misfits, Hansama, he just played the AD carries. He had no interest in these bottom lane mages, and right now Selfmade is on a ward, but went for the fast level 3 path. Unfortunately, won't be able to make a play happen around this bottom side, and that's going to make Hansama and Gorilla be able to play very far forward, knowing that Selfmade, his attempt has failed, and now he has to go back towards top.
And one of the rare times that we see Selfmade not playing around the top lane here, obviously Werlyb pretty set up for success on his own at this stage of the game. Surprisingly, sOAZ has been pushed in. Of course, a lot more wave clear in the hands of Vlad, and difficult to land the flag and drag combo onto a character like the Vladimir.
Yeah, I honestly am a bit surprised to see the grasp here from the Jarvan. What I have seen in the past has been some airy for the extra poke, but he's taken a very excellent trade here against Werlyb, so not feeling too bad about that grasp.
Not at all. And Pirean, of course, has a little bit of mid lane pressure, but quickly the top lane turned around there, and sOAZ does commit to that kind of all-in play. Phase rush keeps Werlyb safe, but not able to use, looks like, the Crimson Rush to get some health back. So sOAZ sitting pretty comfortable, has 2 stacks left of the Corrupting Pot as well.
Yeah, you can see 3 Corrupting Potions on the side of Misfits. The benefit of putting that Cassiopeia in the bottom lane means a lot of sustain for them here in the early laning phase. So as we'll be able to soak up a bit of the poke, Hansama will be able to burst through his mana bar and take very aggressive spell trades here to try and chunk down Crownshot, because we know he can use that teleport to come back to lane, whether it's with a tier a little bit earlier to start scaling up and give him some protection, or what I like a little bit more, and that's going to be the Luden's Echo for the extra burst damage and poke off of the Q spam.
Well, if we know Hansama's trademark aggressive playstyle, I think we can safely expect a Luden's, although we'll see what he opts to go for this game. Cassio new, maybe we see a new Hansama as well. Enter the bot lane is exciting, but I do also want to talk a little bit about this jungle matchup. Now, Maxlore playing Sejuani, this is something I'm used to. This is something that everyone has seen before, but the Aatrox isn't something we see as much of. Now, for Selfmade, I expect ganks in the early game. Does Aatrox really support that kind of playstyle?
No, honestly, Aatrox, unless he has lanes with really good CC setup for ganks, isn't going to be super effective. So, you know, top lane, not going to happen. Mid lane, maybe, but against the Irelia could be a little bit more difficult. What he is going to be looking to do, I feel, is match Maxlore's ganks, go for counters, because that's where he can be stronger than that Sejuani, is if he can sort of show up at the same time she does after she's committed and look for the fights. But in terms of actual proactive play, just him on his own, probably won't be seeing too much of that on this pick.
And you can see Selfmade, of course, 5 out of 5 for player of the games. No doubt that this guy is the MVP of this lineup, the sole source of a lot of their early game advantages throughout their games, especially throughout their wins. And you know, I think it's a tough burden to be Selfmade on this team, knowing a lot of expectations, but not in a great position to counter gank at this stage. Maxlore has not been spotted. Hansama, though, throwing down the miasma, feels like it might give it away, but no, backing off. Gorilla, is he going to go for the flash to extend the taunt? It's just going to settle for the Braum. They're now moving in. They want to lock this guy down, but can't find it. We'll get the flash from Dreams in the end, though. Well played.
Yeah, I liked the patience there from Dreams, because it looked like for a second he might have been able to get out of there without the flash, but if that second tick of the flail had hit him, Maxlore would have been able to stun him, so SK will have to back away out of this lane, and that's going to put Hansama and Gorilla in a great spot, because what they can do right now is Hansama, I believe he's trying to push out this wave. wave and then look for a reset. Actually, if you look at this, there are 4 ranged minions on the side of SK, and the cannon minion on Misfits side just died, so Hansama isn't pushing. He's letting the wave sort of push into him. It's denying a lot of CS here from SK,
no.
and because he has TP, he can
Just
wait
comes right
until they
back.
come back to lane and then return.
Oh, I'm playing against that Cassio. If she can stand on the front side of that creep wave, is going to be so incredibly difficult. Misfits kind of setting up for a more all-in engage. Selfmade now making his presence known on the top side of the map. Sees the word debris there, but not concerned. Before he got there, sOAZ is going to do his best to clear this one out.
Right now, Selfmade is making a play towards this red buff on the side of Misfits. I was getting a little concerned here because it is a risky maneuver, but he's going to come behind Febiven. Febiven playing very safe, but if he dashes forward for the last hit, he will not. He misses the last hit for it, but he does not risk losing a flash or his life.
Uses the flaws to try to pick that up. Selfmade not able to find an impact quite yet. Of course, level 6 may give him a few more avenues to get in the lane, but not nearly as many as the Sejuani. So have to keep your eyes out for that. For now, Crownshot forced to try to push this wave in, but Gorilla threatening, and the TP coming back from Hansama as he does pick up the Lost Chapter Ender.
Lost Chapter as well as the Fairy Charm too. So this is something we see a lot now on many different champions. They go for the Lost Chapter because frankly it sells back for a lot. I think it sells back for about
Fairy
80.
Charm, rather than Lost Chapter.
The Fairy Charm, of course. It spells back for about 80 of the 125 it costs you. So it's effectively spending 1 potion to get extra mana sustain in the lane. And for Cassiopeia, who wants to be spamming out her spells pretty consistently to try and get a lane advantage, it's going to be a very good pickup for her to keep her topped off up until her teleport returns and she can go back to base once more.
Getting those nice backs from TP, of course, so good. Of course, won't have the combat summoner, but may not need it. A lot of immediate damage comes in from Hansama. Guardian used to block some of that, but Hansama already looking to deal a lot to this Lucian. Good news is he has the Vamp Scepter. He does have a little bit of sustain, but Cassio does have the innate sustain built into her kit, and now with level 6 as well, things are going to get much more difficult because Maxlore has it, Febiven has it, and this is where this explosive comp from the side of Misfits can start to take off.
Yeah, it's interesting too because usually we see when a team wants to make a play around mid lane, especially one with cleanse, they gank before level 6 to try and burn that summoner spell, but now
Werlyb.
3 members of SK in the area.
Looking for a little bit of initial damage. The Vladimir is coming in on the backside. They are just going to have to back away though. And it felt like when they saw Febiven dash forward, they thought he was going to get aggressive and goes for the play, but he sees Selfmade, he backs off. And Misfits playing with a lot of patience here.
And now it's actually really hard for SK to sort of make plays in the middle lane, especially because of the support Galio. All he has to do is walk up the river just a little bit, and he will offer that extra member if any engagements were to break out. So it lets Febiven play a little more aggressively around this mid lane, especially because sOAZ is applying pressure, and all of Misfits now are sort of zoning SK away from the neutral position in the lane and trying to set them underneath their tower.
It's a terrifying spot to be in because, well, the Aatrox and the Braum maybe can survive a lot of the upfront damage here coming in if Misfits are willing to commit ultimates. Crownshot definitely cannot. Crownshot will just get immediately deleted if any piece of CC does connect. And Maxlore will find that CC in the mid lane. The immediate cleanse flash out and 2 sums taken away from Pirean.
That's brilliant there for Maxlore. That actually opens up a ton because not only does it mean Maxlore, you know, in a minute and a half when his ultimate comes back up again, he can look for a gank mid lane, but that means Pirean has to play so far back in the lane because Irelia is one of those champions that doesn't need a jungler to find a solo kill. All she has to do is take 1 or 2 good trades against you, and then she has the ability to sort of burst you out and look for a solo kill, especially on an immobile target like the Syndra.
And I love this from Febiven. If you caught that at home, he bought the Phage, very expensive kind of lane item, immediately sells it for the T-Mat. Decides, I'm pushing these waves, you don't have flash, and neither does Werlyb now on the back end of that play. sOAZ with the confidence there to just commit fully to the Cataclysm, stops the pool from getting out, cannot go under that piece of terrain.
Yeah, and sOAZ is loving the trades up topside. He went for the first item, Executioner's Culling, to get the sustained denial here on towards Werlyb. Of course, his wave is pushing away from him now, so he's going to look for a reset and not risk falling to one of those classic top lane self-made ganks. It's a lot more tempered here out of both of these teams, and I think it's sort of a side effect of the composition from Misfits, and Misfits actually just knowing, hey, we don't want to risk it against self-made and overextend.
And I like the itemization continuing to come out from the Jarvan with the Hex Drinker against both the Syndra and the Vladimir, mitigating so much of the potential magic damage coming in. And right now, Misfits really do feel like they are in control of the game. It's a very small gold lead, but they have push pressure on the top side as Vladimir tries to freeze the wave. Febiven very comfortable mid with the Tiamat, and sOAZ doing very well in the 1v1 matchup.
So let's talk Moose, Drakos.
Okay.
Let's talk Moose, because
The man or the animal?
why not both?
Okay.
Really the man, though. And specifically coming into this, I think you know, Misfits a lot of times drafted aggressive bottom lanes, and then they played for other areas of the map. But right now, there's such good vision control around the bottom lane that it allows Hansama and Gorilla to play aggressively, and for Misfits to make this play over towards the Herald. Selfmade and Pirean do know what's going on, and they're going to look to stop it.
Scout of the week. He's going to come out with the stun, is not going to connect now, trying to commit on the Febiven, but the ult comes out, and he goes right back to Pirean, he makes it too easy! Dip, duck, and dive with that blade surge. Selfmade gonna run for his life. They're gonna proc the ultimate. No! It times out perfectly. Febiven just has to be laughing all the way to the bank with that one.
And Misfits just take complete control right there. They had sOAZ walking down first, and there were no summoner spells onto Pirean. Once the initial stun failed from Pirean, Selfmade went too far forward. It was a huge misplay from them, and Misfits were able to turn it around for an excellent kill there onto Febiven.
And for the first time in a long time, Ender, I feel like SK are a little lost in this early game. Like, they cannot find an avenue in, and I have to wonder if Aatrox was the right choice for Selfmade in the jungle.
Well, you have to remember the amount of jungle attention that Misfits sent his way, right? Because there were double jungle bans in the second rotation. Jarvan was already picked, and then the Sejuani comes through. So there's really just not that many options for Selfmade to sort of pick up for himself. He wanted to grab the Aatrox to sort of nullify a lot of things that could happen here from this Misfits comp. But, you know, when it gets into these engagements, if you're not landing the skill shots, it's just not going to work.
You have to hold that dog because the all-in's coming in from Werlyb. He throws down a little bit of damage. sOAZ tries to turn. Just threatens with the Dragon Strike, but nothing's going to happen there.
He's chilling.
He's chilling. Now Hansama taking a lot of damage. Crownshot, though, pretty fearless as he steps forward. And now I do feel like as we get further into the game that we have to put a little bit more attention to the bottom side of the map for SK, because things are not looking so great in the mid lane. Febiven, though, if he gets too aggressive here, can't get countered out. Faked. I'm pretty sure Febiven didn't see him and now wants to try to commit here. Selfmade ready to go over the wall. Does not get it, though. Febiven with the patience here to save that dash to get out.
Yeah, and it's actually so huge that Aatrox lost a second E-charge because it's so much harder now to actually make those plays work. Because before, you could sort of get two of your Qs to basically guarantee land because you can time the dash to make it almost impossible to juke away from. And now he uses the first one. In that situation, he can't chase with another. And in a lot of these trades we're going to see happen eventually once we start getting into some skirmishes and some fights, well, he's just not going to be able to do the same damage he was before.
Dream's going for the aggressive engage, though. Selfmade now on the bottom side. Hansama pulling back, has a lot of time here. Dream stunned up, is going to use the stopwatch. Maxlore coming in, throws out the ultimate, not quite going to connect. Dream's now on the retreat. Werlyb here as well. Nobody goes down. Selfmade, though, and the rest of the SK lineup pushing forward. They don't have a creep wave here to get anything else. sOAZ will be the lone man to remain as Maxlore and the rest of the squad back off.
And Hansama has the teleport, so he's going to return down into this bottom lane. SK may be going for a little bit too much as they start up the Mountain Drake. They will call their way off of that objective, and Misfits are able to trade teleports between both top laners, stop the gank from working out, and get a summoner spell for their trouble.
Now, admittedly, they did get Hansama's flash. Crownshot still has his. Dreams burned his as well, but Hansama could find himself in a difficult spot here. Dreams now running. Overstaying as well from Crownshot, trying to fire some damage back. sOAZ potentially in trouble if this Lucian gets to keep free hitting, but the Galio threatening with the taunt. They cannot go in any further. Dreams will go down. Febiven now on the backside. Keep your eyes on that Irelia ultimate. This could be disastrous. Knockback, beautiful play for Pirean to get them out of this. The knockup as well to deny this engage. Now SK can go for the turn. Immediately they fire back. A clean disengage right into the re-engage means SK will get the kill back.
And it's a look on the confusion on the face of the Moose right there. Misfits had the kill onto Dreams and then funneled themselves into this tight corridor against the Aatrox, against the Vladimir, against the Syndra, and it was just not a fight they could win without those ultimates being layered on top of each other.
Hansama and sOAZ will continue to get the pressure, and you know, at the end of the day, still just a one-for-one trade. SK doing what they can to get it back, but that was very close to disaster for SK. If they did not find the multiple CCs to stop the Galio from getting to their backline, if they did not find the Scout of the Week to stop the Sejuani stun from connecting, that could have been 3 or 4 dead members.
Yeah, and we'll have to sort of rewind all the way back here to Dreams walking into the face of sOAZ and Hansama. He actually doesn't get knocked up. It was some clever footwork there that allowed him to survive as long as he did. But because he was able to stay up for so long, Werlyb and Pirean made their way down here. They're trying to find the collapse, but they realize it's a 4v5. It's probably not good. Let's kite back. But then 4 people stand on top of each other. There's a massive Q from Selfmade into the damage from Werlyb, and it's a good trade kill back onto Gorilla.
And it does show a little bit of what this SK composition could do if you do group up the AoE damage from the Syndra, the Vladimir, and the Aatrox if they're given the opportunity. But now we're just going to commit to the play. Febiven could be in trouble here. We'll have the reset dash on a Pirean, but no, denied there a little bit. Febiven now running for his life. Maxlore's here. Dreams. Can he fish for it? Can he find the Winter's Bite? They're just going to retreat. They do get the stopwatch out from Pirean, though. Small win for them. sOAZ, the Jarvan, doesn't have enough AD, but does have a big level advantage at this point.
As you'd expect of the top laner. Man, I mean, Febiven is really trying to carry this game. He's trying to make absolute use of this Irelia pick, and it's interesting too, because Irelia was nerfed. I think a lot of the nerfs did hit her in the mid lane, but it's still enough to make plays. Now, sOAZ, 3 members of SK in the area. Gorilla is coming up to try and defend, and without a wave there, SK are gonna have to back away.
Now, Febiven, though, a little bit on the back foot here, as Vladimir will get some free time onto that tower. Maxlore gonna take this as an opportunity to start the Dragon. The call is split. Can't decide if they want to gank Werlyb or they want to focus on the Drake. Drake will be the choice in the end. Werlyb will be spotted out here on the ward. Will take a bit of time, but this is a very slow solo Dragon take from Maxlore. Yeah, I don't think a lot's going to happen here. 2 top laners, or top laner, mid laner, now farming it out, Ender. And we check back in across the map. Right now it is a 2K gold lead in the favor of Misfits. Maxlore will eventually take down the Mountain Drake. Thank you. Thank you, Febiven, for showing up to make that take at least 8 seconds less than it needed to.
Now sort of looking at what SK are trying to accomplish, because they are down about 2,500 gold at the moment. I want to see them start grouping up, and that's what they're doing right now. They're trying to take control over the jungle and set up to eventually knock down this turret up on the top side of the map. They just need to get some gold back in their pockets before they really want to take another team fight again. Unfortunately, Galio plus the Cassiopeia is just so good at instantly obliterating the waves. And that's one of the strengths of Galio's support, because it is a little unconventional. It's really rare to have a support that does that much damage to the wave.
Hold on, so as now could be in trouble. Maxlore trying to find the re-engage, but Selfmade is here. Febiven now leaping in. He's going to find the stun onto 1. He knows that there's no stopwatch available. He's going to grab 1. The Irelia is still very healthy. Now trying to fire back as the Galio's on the way. And Febiven's still alive. He's already parked the passive. That's the double. He wants the triple. He's thirsty for it, but he's not going to go back in. Crownshot disengaging with the Coling, but still great start. Oh, he's still going to get it. They've split up. They want to follow up here. He wants to go over the wall. He flashes over, but that's right. No, Lucian. Crownshot with the hero play. Selfmade now running. Dashes over the wall. No. Twin Fang. But it's 2 for Crownshot firing back. An instant bloodbath as Werlyb looks to take the tower on the bottom side.
Oh man, fantastic play out of Crownie right there. Great stuff from him, dodging over the wall, keeping Selfmade alive for long enough to get the kill onto Febiven. Really good stuff from him to trade in a really bad situation. Misfits had complete control over that fight. But it was just that Lucian finding single targets, not being pressured out, that was able to get a couple of kills.
And just really, when you look at that, a very messy fight in the end, and obviously you can see how strong Irelia is. Looks like the nerfs not going to shut her down completely when she has that. Still has a strong laning phase, still has a lot of good tools here. And as we look back on this one, just interesting to see how back and forth this was in the end.
Yeah, well, right off the bat, sOAZ just goes so deep, but he knows it's going to be a 3v3 right here. And once he goes down, you notice Pirean gets stunned up right there by Maxlore. And then there's not much damage to go down onto the Irelia. The knockup as well to keep Febiven alive. And then Febiven goes around the corner here. There's no tower to stop him from walking in. Misses the stun, but then Maxlore really does set up nicely for him. Unfortunately, he's mid-auto animation when he gets knocked down by Crownshot. Crownshot sees a 0-mana Sejuani, who already blew her gap closer, as an easy pickup on the backside.
And well played by Crownshot to pick this up. Once again, when Selfmade was stepping up, as SK started to find these wins more and more, Crownshot and Dreams have been stepping up as well. And Crownshot, of course, week 5, 3.0 KDA, small CS advantage, but you can see hefty % of the team's damage here and the kill participation for 80 carries. This guy is a pretty key component for the SK lineup.
He's a huge component for the SK lineup. He is seriously the one dealing the damage for the team in
Oh no,
positioning.
Pirean. Uh-oh. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be a big enough component for this play. The cleanse does come out. Pirean trying desperately to sidestep. Sadly, Irelia Q is a point and click. Now Febiven is setting up for the follow-up fight. The TP is now coming in. Pirean still alive. The hero escape now comes out. Then Gorilla going to try to follow up with the top. But Vladimir's moving into the middle of the entire team. Who's going to take this one out in the end? Pirean still dealing damage on the backside. Still fishing for Maxlore. Still desperate to get something back, but Misfits are coming out on top. The Resurrect comes in for Selfmade. Werlyb throws down a bit of damage, but it's a long, slow goodbye. Misfits take the fight.
Misfits and Hansama untouched during that one, dishing out the damage. Now they're trying to sustain up. Hansama does have TP. He needs the mana to come into this Baron and then take it down. They already have the Mountain Drake, so a 20-minute Baron is going to be secured by the Misfits.
SK do what they can to try to find an advantage in that fight. You have maybe a bit of optimism after you see Pirean survive, but just not enough. And Cassio, you mentioned it before, we talk about it every time this champion is picked. She destroys Baron, just obliterates that health bar. And now taking a little bit of time. They're waiting for their teammate to respawn just so they can donate that Baron over. That's why Cassio wasn't hitting it. I'm glad I wasn't like, what is he doing? I was ready. I was ready
You
to
got it,
criticize.
Drakos. You got it. It was smart play there from Misfits, and a really good engage here onto Pirean. Pirean actually went for a very early Zonius. He didn't even finish his lost chapter item, so he's able to survive initially in this fight. But there's where the teleport comes in from sOAZ. He's able to dunk on top of the Gorilla and taunt, and then it's just like, what do? Pirean's out of the fight. Your Lucian is already dead, so Misfits are able to run completely over SK, no matter how long they tried to survive.
Ender, I have a quick list for you.
Yep.
Champions who want to fight in that giant mess. Jarvan, Irelia, Sejuani, heck, Cassio. Opposite side, we got a Vlad. We have an Aatrox. Even Syndra's happy to throw a little bit of damage. Crownshot is not the man that wants to jump into that mess. The last fight he was, and this is the thing that's scary. We talked about Crownshot being crucial. That's very true, but we've also seen two different kinds of Crownshot. We've seen Crownshot carrying, and we've seen Crownshot getting caught. It's not going to be Crownshot getting caught this time. It will be Dreams firing back with a Culling, now getting good damage onto Febiven, but Dreams will die. Ulti comes out, not enough to kill the Irelia. The fall from Somebody's now going to chase down and try to find a kill. Selfmade desperately wants to get something back, but once again, the Zion's up and available. Pirean fires back a little bit of damage, and Gorilla's going to grab that one. Resurrection coming in, Gorilla using the ultimate as well. Meanwhile, the Vladimir's trap bot slide. Selfmade does not get stunned up. Misfits are going to settle for this tier 2 tower. So close here overall, but Misfits winning out on the skirmishes yet again. Enter 7k gold lead, and it's only going to continue to grow as sOAZ takes this bottom tier 1.
I mean, how do you actually win a fight against this Misfit squad grouped up? It doesn't seem possible. They have all these champions just want to dive on top of your backline, and quite frankly, Pirean isn't strong enough to cut through anyone. Vladimir still needs more time, and Lucian is so low range that it's really hard for him to do anything but dash away and try to get a few chip shots before he gets bursted down by the Irelia jumping onto his face.
I thought the nerf back came in hard enough, Ender. I thought we'd never have to look at another Irelia jump on someone's face. But nope, here we are. Febiven popping off 5, 2, and 5 on this champion. And it's been such an aggressive game. This man's not even hitting 10 CS a minute. He's focused on the champion end of the kills.
Yeah, and sitting on top of the control ward as well. They can't see it happening. They jump over the wall on towards Dreams, and it is a drawn-out initial engage, but that's the ultimate right there from Hansama and Febiven to CC Pirean to leave that mark on top of Crownshot so that Gorilla can jump on board. Febiven can look for the resets here on towards Selfmade. He just barely gets out by the skin of his teeth, but they lose the tower in the mid lane. They lose the Infernal Drake on the back half of that, and Misfits set themselves up with a 7,000 gold lead and are looking to take complete control over the rest of the map.
Now with the Baron, they can set up to break down some of these tier 2s, and you can see they're not really splitting up across lanes. They're content to group up, as you mentioned, so strong in these team fights, especially when you've got this kind of massive gold lead, when you have the Infernal Drake and the Baron buff as well. And Ender, we're seeing very good improvement from Misfits in terms of team fight and coordination. Maxlore now goes into Pirean, the cleanse immediately comes out, but ulti traded for Summoner here. Not having that one, though, could be important. Maybe it'll let SK defend this tier 2.
Gotta be hard, though, to actually clear these waves. Pirean's just trying to send some zoning shots away to clear the wave and stop anyone from walking up to hit the tower. But sOAZ is in the mid lane. He actually
just goes for the flag and
he doesn't even care.
Now needs to be careful, though. He's just going to try to 5 at a time, uses the slow. Crownshot going for the chase. sOAZ just dashes away, and it does mean that on the top side, the rest of the Misfits can break down this tier 2. Demolish Proc's going to come through. Huge chunk of damage, and that will be the tier 2 on the top side taken out.
Yep, there's only one more tier 2 on the map, and it's in the bottom lane. And guess what? sOAZ is already over there. He actually started clearing some of the minions between the two towers that were still standing to try and get the push going on the other side of the map. So there's only one range creep left. That's all he left to send back to meet up with the rest of his friends, but his friends are going to die too because all the other minions are killing those friends.
We're going to name him Ron, and he's going to try. Oh, God, Ron!
There was a second there where I saw just one sliver of HP, and I'm like, maybe he can do it. Maybe against all odds.
I thought maybe we're going to get like that risk moment where one guy takes down like 30 dudes, and you're like, this is the worst game of all time, but no, it's League of Legends. The minion just dies.
Yeah,
Sad.
no RNG with minions right there,
Turns
really.
out. Maybe, you never know. Bugs are crazy. Maybe that was the one moment. We had to watch it, folks. But sOAZ setting up what he believes to be the perfect kill trap, but unbeknownst to him, about 2.5 minutes ago, someone put a ward there. Will now get spotted out as the Scryer's Bloom comes through. And sOAZ very comfortable on the bottom side now with the Mob Malmortius in addition to the Executioner's Call.
And now the problem for SK is not only have they lost a lot, but Pirean's going to get killed.
Oh, Pirean goes golden, but there's really no way out of this one. They're just holding on to it. He dies. Gorilla's going to grab the kill.
So SK need to go into disaster recovery, and right now that's going to start off with Selfmade trying to take a great trade against Gorilla. It's a lot of damage, but Hansama's in the wings.
James is here. Ooh, calling just shy. Tickles him. And really, Misfits, sadly, I don't think have enough ways to pressure turrets outside of splitting. Luckily, sOAZ is already doing that, but they don't have a lot of long-range champions to actually threaten these inhibitor towers.
Yeah, you also just don't have an AD carry, so Hansama walking up with Cassiopeia may be a little bit worse to go ahead and hit those towers. What Misfits do have going for them is that the Baron is spawning in 30 seconds, and because they have been able to dominate in every single team fight for the last 10 minutes, it seems, well, SK haven't really entered their jungle, let alone entered the Baron River, so there's no vision to try and see that one coming. Now we're going to see what happened exactly in the top lane. There's a lot of minions for Febiven to work with.
No,
Double jump.
Oh, good
dodge.
flash. Sadly, you put yourself between the wall and the tower, so gave him the freebie.
And then Gorilla comes in, and it's like, well, I mean, Febiven could have done that by himself. It actually makes Gorilla lose the flash in the end. Now SK actually with some good pressure here. They were able to shove up the mid lane. Now they can try to get some vision, but Crownshot has to be super careful. This AD carry is so low range, and we know Misfits, all their game plan is going to be is to dive onto him and Pirean, assassinate the backline, and win the fight pretty handily.
He's playing so confident, stepping up to actually auto-attack the Irelia. Brave maneuver. Of course, Irelia has the GA as well, so Crownshot gonna have to kill Febiven twice if he wants to come out on top in these team fights. A difficult prospect. Zonya's just about to be up once again for Pirean. 0-4-4. Difficult game for the Syndra player. Moving in though. Selfmade's gonna find the follow-up. Now going in. Selfmade just wants to keep the fight going. sOAZ is coming in on the backside though. Can't hit 3 members immediately. Pirean now trying to disengage, and Selfmade, it's a lot of chunk damage, but there's no follow-up. Werlyb finally here in the fight. Misfits take that as their sign to back off, but at the end of the day, so much burn for so little.
Yeah, flash on Selfmade, his own ultimate, cleanse on Pirean as well. So now Misfits can go ahead and move back in towards the river. SK don't want to give them any opening.
Werlyb is just going top. They kind of need that Vladimir on the flank. He is now coming in. Maybe they can find an opportunity, but everything is warded up. Werlyb just going to have to settle for clearing out a bit of vision. Now, luckily for SK, in a spot to contest this mid wave, so can take down some of those wards, but have to be careful. sOAZ is waiting. This man is hungry.
Oh, Febiven gets the stun.
Good synergy.
I like it.
And I feel like we're both really tense, because while I feel like this is probably a 70-30 fight for Misfits, there's still that possibility with the Vladimir.
And look, it's just because Misfits can make a snap call to initiate a fight whenever they want. Baron is at 7,000 HP right now. SK still haven't teleported into the fight. It's going to come down to a 50-50.
Goes in. TP now coming in. We have to keep the fight. The Werlyb immediately going to get the 3-man ultimate. It's just going to get knocked up. Does finally get the pull off. Febiven now leaving to the backline. Pirean in trouble. Does go golden. Febiven, though, could be the one to go down. Selfmade going to try to throw down a little bit with the auto attack. Resurrection coming in. Crownshot now going to try to take down Maxlore. This could be huge. Big moment as they move back into the funnel. Gorilla off to the side, though. Where is he going to go? Pulling back. Retreat on the team. The Baron already going down in favor of Misfits. The miasma is huge. Crownshot has to flash back. Has to cleanse as well.
No mana on Hansama.
Hansama is an important note. Ooh, sOAZ.
He has flash.
This
he
man
wants
is
it.
flirting with disaster.
Yeah, baby.
Goes in. The Q to extend. Now the follow-up is there, but just the 1-for-1.
All right, maybe he's edging, but that looked cool.
But the TP comes in for Hansama, and they're now just going to push. And ladies and gentlemen, you know why he had to do it. Let's get a round of applause. 900th kill across his history in the EU LCS/LEC. That's what it's all about.
And man, it couldn't come at a better time, because now there's no AD carry to defend the tower. Misfits, in his 900th game, going to be able to break open the base and get one step closer to coming out with a win.
You call it anything, I call it record-setting, baby. That's what we do. So
That's what it was.
900 kills.
I mean, it's a 1-for-1 trade in the end for the AD carry, so sOAZ definitely going to be happy with that one. Is it going to be the 900th kill? No, it's going to be the team fight. Even better. Let's break this one down, because SK come into this with a little bit of a pincer maneuver. It's a teleport from behind from Werlyb. He gets a massive Hemoplague onto the backline, but there's no follow-up, and that's when Febiven sees his opening. He dives straight in towards Pirean, gets the kill before falling into the Guardian Angel. And now let's watch Hansama, because he lands a pretty sweet ultimate right here, but he instantly casts the Zhonya, so the damage doesn't really come through. The fight ends up stalling out a little bit longer, but then when both flashes are used on Dreams and Crownshot, sOAZ sees his opening to look for big 900.
Here it comes, ladies and gentlemen. Bam! Wait, bam. Sorry.
I thought he had the double kill too. He needed 2 autos on Dreams though, unfortunately.
A truly heroic moment as you throw your body into the enemy team when you have, I believe, Baron buff. So he got it in the end, and that's what Matt worth, as they say in all
Worth,
chat.
baby.
3-0-6, I mean, a stunning game coming in from Misfits. 10k gold lead, and you have to say that SK have found a few opportunities to fight back, but at the end of the day, it really does feel like Misfits have been in absolute control here, and a rare performance from both Pirean and Selfmade, where we see them a little bit lost in the early game, and Pirean, unfortunately, now that he's behind, doesn't really get to play the game the way he wants to play it.
Yeah, it's really hard to stop this siege too. With the Baron up minions, SK need all their members here to stop the damage from going on the tower. But remember, not many good people on the side of Misfits to actually hit this structure. So Misfits are going to look to play the pressure game. They have sOAZ in the side lane to try and get some chip damage eventually on these towers. And maybe, just maybe, they can crack it and look for the fight.
Difficult spot is they're assigning Werlyb to match sOAZ, but they desperately need that Vladimir damage output in team fights.
They might want the 5v4. Werlyb is on the flank. Misfits do know he's here, though.
See him autoing. They're looking for the ward. Maybe they're expecting some kind of flank.
Yeah, and right now sOAZ is just walking back between both lanes. And we've seen this before from SK. They tried to pick off sOAZ. It's just not going to happen when he's here on the Jarvan. So notice how he walked mid lane to walk in the wave, and now he's down bottom lane with some minions. He pulls both Selfmade and Werlyb respectively to clear those away. But unfortunately for Misfits, the waves are staggered at the moment. So they're not having people from SK defending multiple turrets at one time, so they can't actually get the damage down on this top lane tower they need to be able to break it open.
At the end of the day, the Baron buff only going to be 1628 gold in terms of that Shell V power play. And it does put them in a bit of a difficult spot here, where I feel like SK are going to have a bit more time to stall this game out, short of Misfits finding a colossally Misfits-favored team fight. Now, they definitely have the tools to set it up, but I don't think SK are going to group up and give them the opportunity. So, Andrew, this looks like it might be a 3 Baron kind of game.
Definitely looks like a 3 Baron game. I mean, it's the comp Misfits drafted for them. And when I see this comp, I actually think 2018 Vitality, we're going to have all the ultimates, and we're just going to try to barrel you down. And what those games often turned into was a lot of engagements around the mid lane. Because what Misfits need to have happen is they need to have a neutral objective beyond the map that SK are forced to come contest, and then they need SK to sort of walk into the fog of war, where Misfits can then find an initiation with all the tools they have at their disposal. Because their 5v5 is absolutely disgusting. They should win every single team fight from now on. Difficulty is that if SK are able to get good vision around the Baron and find a good fight setup with a solid flank from Werlyb, especially once he finishes that Rabadon's death cap, that's where he may see things turn around in the favor of SK.
Vladimir, a terrifying late game scaling threat, there can be no doubt. Of course, given that the vast majority of kit is AoE as well, really will help in the fights to come. But he's going to need a little bit more time. I think it is definitely safe to say.
Definitely, and even then, once he does get that item breaking point, you still look at the carries on Misfits, and, well, Hansama has the Zhonyas as well as some MR with the Banshees. Febiven has the Guardian Angel, which is going to be coming off of cooldown just in time for this Baron buff to spawn. So it is still going to be incredibly difficult for SK to find the fight they need. And the honest truth is that they're going to have Syndra and Lucian being hard dove every single time, and once those members go down, the fight becomes near impossible for them.
Yeah, and we see, of course, Crownshot opting to itemize for full damage here. Does go for the Infinity Edge and the Rapid Fire Cannon, his 3rd and 4th item. And I respect it, because he needs to be, you know, dealing damage. But also, a Braum is not a Tauntaun Kench. You cannot stop all of the bursts that could come through from a Jarvan and Irelia. So this is going to be incredibly difficult for SK to play out. Not only are their backs against the wall in terms of gold and composition, also execution. The burden of execution way higher on the side of SK right now.
Absolutely, and that's why I think the Moose comes in. He's like, okay, look, we've been struggling to sort of know our win condition and play out the game. Let's give you something you can't mess up. You know exactly what to do with this Misfits composition, and so far, Misfits have piloted it very well. Right now, though, it's a little bit peculiar because they're splitting up around the map. sOAZ is pushing down bottom lane. He will get this tower because Werlyb is not in the area, but SK have now gotten the vision they need on the Baron. But they're going to have to go back and defend their base because it's going down.
Werlyb, of course, has the TP, so does sOAZ. But sOAZ isn't too scared of this fight right now. He's going to retreat, of course, the steady damage coming in from Werlyb. Now tries to turn it, canceling out with the ultimate. We have to keep our eyes on the fight. Where's Maxlore going to go? Febiven on the back line as well. SK need to find a quick retreat.
sOAZ just smashing.
A lot of damage here. Crimson Rush, a little bit of health. Now is going to come back. Werlyb, I feel like, is in a difficult spot here. Shield comes in as well. 1v1 is going to go down in favor of sOAZ. He's going to break an inhibitor, and immediately Misfits go straight to that Baron because they have Hansama. They have the Mountain Drake. They have the Infernal as well. They can pressure this one out. Oh, Selfmade. There's no jungler here. Misfits are just going to take that as a clear sign to start it up.
Yeah, I mean, Selfmade is down bottom lane to try and get the return kill onto Jarvan, but he already took down the inhibitor. That one's going to be down for the next 5 minutes. SK cannot contest on towards this Baron buff. Misfits just got everything they could ever possibly want.
And Ender. Misfits, once again, you said it, everything they could possibly want. 12k gold lead, yet another Baron to give them a power play. But I respect that Selfmade tried to go down there to finish off that kill, but also big sigh. Big sigh.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, like Selfmade was probably never going to be able to get in position to try and steal that Baron. You just don't have the tools against everything Misfits have. The big problem is that Werlyb is actually taking that 1v1 against sOAZ. He chased him all the way down that lane, realized he was losing, and then started running all the way back to his Nexus, but it just did not work. And if your bot lane is losing the 1v1, all of a sudden the rest of your composition, it doesn't matter because members have to sort of filter away and protect your bottom lane. Otherwise, you lose members, you lose inhibitors, and now Misfits have the Baron buff, have an inhibitor at their disposal, and it's going to be much easier for them to break into the base with the help of super minions.
And right now, the odds just continue to stack against SK, dropping lower and lower. I think we gave them 70-30 in the team fights previously, 70 in favor of the Misfits, rather. And now I think it gets lower and lower as these champions get stronger. Really the only good news at SK at this point, or for SK at this point, is that Misfits are running out of item space. And when that's your good news, you're praying for maybe a 60-minute game, and I just don't know if it's going to happen. Crownshot stepping forward. Good dash back, though, to just barely force the miss there on the flawless duet. As Pirean is just a disengaged bot right now with the scat of the week, but even the minions are starting to chunk Crownshot. Febiven is just fishing for this engage opportunity.
And SK think, oh, the only one that can match sOAZ is going to be Selfmade. So they have the Aatrox in the mid lane, now taking a good trade against the Jarvan, but he's able to get away from here, or he should be, as Crownshot uses the culling to try and clear the wave up on the top side. This is absolutely brutal for SK. They're throwing everything at the wave to try and defend, but all it is one misstep for the fight to be initiated and for Misfits to find their mark.
Crownshot is playing so confident as he steps forward every single time, especially when he steps into that creep wave when there's the opportunity for reset. Selfmade now going in onto sOAZ. Maybe they can find an opportunity here to turn, knock back. Selfmade ulti is not going to be utilized, though. He has to retreat. The GA has already been used. Febiven set on the mid lane. It is a split call. Misfits are quick now to punish. Gorilla coming in will lock up Werlyb for now. It's going to be 3 inhibitors taken out. SK are not going to find that team fight whatsoever. They are scattered. Werlyb does not have any kind of sustained damage. Dream's now on the retreat. Crownshot can't do anything because the rest of the map is falling apart around him. Irelia grabs yet another inhibitor. He dashes forward. Very aggressive, but sOAZ healing up. He's still got the TP, can keep a minion healthy. He is just going to opt for that cannon creep, but now they're going to move in. Misfits. Blade on the enemy throat. They are ready to go for the kill right here. SK, not know how much they can say about it.
Well, they just gotta wait for the next minion wave here if you are Misfits. Got a wave in the top side, but they're actually backing up. They're not so confident because, again, the waves are not stacked. They're staggered at the moment, so Misfits gonna have to play it much slower. And again, it's so hard to actually hit these Nexus towers. The game is a massive lead for Misfits, but it's so hard to close without a decisive fight.
Crownshot almost out of mana. Maybe this is an opportunity for them to commit for more. Still enough to get something going here. Selfmade taunted up. Of course, no ultimate available. They continue to throw down poke, trying to whittle away health bars, trying to find any advantage they can before this fight kicks off, because the fight is inevitable. Double super minions getting in every lane. Crownshot has probably missed his opportunity to go back to base. They do find the engage right onto Dreams. Good block comes in, but Febiven ult is going to hit 3 eyes on the Irelia. Flashing forward, going to look for the dive. Dash. It is going to get taken down. The GA going to bring him back up. sOAZ now caught in no man's land. SK desperately trying to hold on, but taking down Febiven is going to be big here. Crownshot alive and healthy. SK managed to hold. I cannot believe it. Against insurmountable odds, Febiven overstays. The perfect disengage from SK will keep them alive for now.
Misfits, they showed so much control for so long, but Maxlore saw the opening and wanted to take it. But on the steps of their fountain, SK are able to turn things around. Crownshot survives long enough to get off the burst. Werlyb able to distract the backline and assassinate Hansama. So they do live to fight another day for potentially our 4th Baron, Drakos.
In this replay brought to you by Alienware, and beautiful block from Dreams.
Let's watch Crownshot, right? Because he gets caught out by the Irelia ultimate, not disarmed anymore. He flashes out and dashes. Immediate cleanse on the stun. He's able to get
QSS.
out there.
He has cleanse and insane. QSS.
And then he kites forward while Febiven's in the GA, is able to get the kill onto him, and Werlyb does some work in the backline to get a few more. They lose 1 Nexus tower, but get away for another few minutes.
Well, you check out this damage delta champions graph. We can see the Aatrox obviously having a bit more of a damage impact in these late game fights, and that is something to note. Obviously, the engage is insane from Maxlore, and with a melee champion like Jarvan and Irelia, it's pretty good, but Aatrox in terms of raw damage output is difficult to contest this late in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's interesting things that go into the matchup between Aatrox and Sejuani this late in the game, because yes, Sejuani, her single target pick is great, but when you get into the late minutes of the game, you almost favor the survivability of an Aatrox because of the damage he can deal out, as well as the sustain in his kit. So there are tools, the later we get into this game for SK to try to kite around the initial engage of this Misfits team fight. But once again, Baron is spawning. They're going to have to go into the river where they don't have any vision. They have been able to get vision in the past, but now with super minions coming in both top lane and middle lane, it's going to be much more challenging. And of course, last time it was sOAZ that took that inhibitor and secured it for Misfits.
And last time we were talking about it was a 12k gold lead for Misfits. Now it's down to 7. And once again, the later and later we get, the less and less the gold lead means as the items start to come in. That is a full build Lucian up against an almost full build Cassio. So when the death cap does come in for Hans Sama, maybe a different story in the fights to come. But once again, execution is now the name of the game. It is... Oh, SK have committed a lot of members here, but there's 2 members of Misfits in the base.
Yeah, look at this, because right now Febiven is pushing in that top lane, pressuring out Werlyb. Bottom lane, there's going to be a sOAZ right now.
Going forward. Good amount of damage. Keep your eyes on the base. We have to watch 2 places at the same time. It's a difficult call. Oh, thank you, observers. Febiven is going in. The TPs are now coming in. It's a beautiful play from Misfits, pulling one from the Book of Vitality in this chaotic game as they try to take it down. SK, they need to get this one. They now have the 4-second back timer, but it's not enough. It is too little, too late. Misfits take the game.
Genius from them to sneak into the base. They knew that SK would contest them at the Baron, and looks of relief on the face of Misfits after they take an over 40-minute victory up against SK.
And we've had some wild games.
Yeah, we have.
And they're absolutely wild. Of course, well played on the side of Misfits. I think sOAZ especially. I gotta say, MVP of that game to me, there's a lot of names you can point at, but I'm going to point at an item instead, and it's that Executioner's Calling first for sOAZ. It won him so many duels, it gave him so much pressure in the Vladimir matchup. Buy it more in solo queue, ladies and gentlemen. It's a good choice.
Look, I mean, Misfits had a lead for so long during this game, and it was really interesting to see them go and through the motions of this match, because they couldn't siege. It was next to impossible with this competition, but they showed the patience they needed. They were aligned, they had a strategy, and they followed it, and that's exactly what we needed to see out of the struggling Misfits roster.
And look, at the end of the day, a win is absolutely a win. A reminder for anyone who doesn't know already, after our last game, we are going to be joined by Misfits Gaming new head coach Hussein.
Old head coach who's now
stepping in as Jezza steps down to development coach. Regardless, he'll be in the LEC postgame lobby, so be sure to stick around. And as always, we want to hear from you LEC fans and get your key player of the game. You can head over to @Esports on Twitter. You can vote for sOAZ. You can vote for Maxlore. You can vote for Febiven. Those are the only 3. Sorry, no one else is on the list. Those are your only choices.
Executioner's Calling.
Executioner's is it calling or calling? Let us know. I don't know. Well, for more on that game, here is Quickshot with Maxlore.
Thank you very much, guys. Congratulations on the win. Maxlore, a slightly different looking draft to what we've seen from Misfits in the past, especially with Hans playing Cassio. Is that part of the reason the game took a very long time to take down those towers and close it out for you guys?
I think the game took pretty long just because we didn't really utilize the Baron very well against comp versus comp. So yeah, the game was just drawn out a little too much.
Well, look, it seemed like it was completely in control. So even though there was, 1 or 2 missteps, you guys had some really decisive plays. I distinctly remember the turn with yourself and Febiven around Rift Herald, who actually got it up on the screen behind you, as well as many other plays like sOAZ seemed to be pretty aggro, you and Febiven in particular stepping up. What was communication like and mood in the camp for a team that's been 1-5 in the last 5 games?
Well, obviously, it's not complete happy days. We know the situation we're in. However, we're still all working hard to, no one's slacking off. We're all working hard and trying our best to get wins, and our goal is still playoffs, as I said at the start of the split.
Yeah, it definitely seems to be the case. So what else has to change or work for Misfits to make sure you lock in playoffs?
I mean, not change, but everything should be improved. Early game, mid game, late game can all be better. You know, we're not Griffin, we're not like the best team in the world, right? And our goal is to get there.
All right, fair enough. Congratulations again on the win. We'll see you tomorrow. We're heading to a break. When we come back, Origin take on Fnatic. GG. I'll grab that from you. Grab that and grab your mic. It's golden. Thank you.
I need your mic too because they have to change.